as we celebrate those who serve in the various branches of the United States Armed Forces. President Truman once said, "Our debt to the heroic men and valiant women in the service of our country can never be repaid. They have earned our undying gratitude. America will never forget their sacrifices." My name is Sheila Brooks, and I have the esteemed honor to introduce our Veterans Day keynote speaker for this morning. Mrs. Laurell Jones is a native of Long Island, New York, where she grew up with her younger sister, Michelle. And if you read her bio, you know that she's a Syracuse graduate, has an MBA and an MBA and a long list of highly credentialed professional certifications and accomplishments received during enlistment in the United States Air Force and post-military. She's a volunteer with Dress for Success Tampa Bay and is currently serving as the president of the board of directors. Laurell is also a life member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I met Laurell in 2017 at Bible Study Fellowship, where we studied Romans together. She probably doesn't remember.
I remember.
For an entire school year, we studied Romans. And one of the scriptures we focused on in our group was Romans 8:14. For those who are led by the Spirit of God are the children of God.
Yeah.
The true children of God are those who let God's Spirit lead them. I was her group leader. And so we had opportunity to bond and talk about the security of those who are in Christ. And today, as I reflect back and reflect on her journey, it is positively evident, so evident in her life, that she allowed the Spirit of God to lead her. Places like Japan and Korea and Turkey, the Pentagon, using her amazing gifts and talent and training, all for the glory of God. She dreamed big, she stayed focused, and God made it happen. Laurell is married to her husband, Thomas Jones. In her free time, and who all knows Laurell? She has none. But when she does, she enjoys working with youth, gardening, traveling, and exploring Tampa. It is with genuine and heartfelt pride that I introduce this summer and present to others my very good friend, Lieutenant Colonel, United States Air Force retired, Laurell Jones.
Thank you, my friend Sheila, my Bible study instructor. Isn't it funny how God will order your steps? What is meant to be will always be. Well, good morning, beautiful Beulah Baptist Institutional Church, family, and friends. Or as I like to say, family, friends who are really like family. Because isn't that what we are? Absolutely. Well, I also want to thank Pastor Allen Harris, the lead servant. He never says the pastor, the lead servant. He says the lead servant. And Beulah Baptist for his gracious invitation to be a part of today's Veterans Day program. He said, you know what, we were just talking earlier. He said, you know, I'm about women's empowerment. I said, you know what? So am I. But I'm also grateful for this invitation because it's always good to fellowship with my Beulah family. You know, this is a special church. They use their time and their talent to honor veterans. Truly a movement, not just a monument. Well, I will also say that I am peacock proud and happy to be joined by my partner in life, my honeydew, Thomas. You know, I'm also grateful for this invitation invitation because it gave me an opportunity to do something I hadn't done in many, many decades, to pause and think about my military career. 11 assignments, 4 overseas tours, 23 years in the United States Air Force.
All right.
But I have to tell you, Beulah family, when I first received this invitation to stand before you today, I was humbled, I was honored, but I was also a little bit overwhelmed. Because at first I felt like I should come here and tell you something profound, something you had never heard about military service. But you know, as it's written in Ecclesiastes 1:9, what has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There's nothing new under the sun. Now, before I go any further, though, I also want to recognize other members of my village. I got my Dress with Success family here. I got my sorors who are ready to throw pinkies up. I got my family, Matt. Thank you. And I also want to recognize, we've seen them before, my fellow veterans. Now you know, and my veterans will tell you, as a veteran, today we eat good in the neighborhood. Free. So I appreciate your service and your sacrifice by being here at this breakfast today. So thank you. To say every veteran that you saw, can I get my veterans to stand just once again so you recognize them, please? That you just saw standing, they have their own story to tell. And I hope that you will honor their service and at some point get to hear a little bit about their story. But today, I'm standing in my pumps and I've got a story to tell as well. You know, when I thought about what I would share today, what was put in my spirit and brought to mind was a popular book some years ago titled, All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. Now in that book, the author, Minister Robert Fulham, he had a series of short stories and rules that talked about how to live, share everything, play fair, clean up your messes, be kind. He talked about how to make friends doing something as simple as sharing your lunch, your PB&J, or now, that'd be my smoked turkey and brie. Well, as that book came to mind, I thought if I was writing a book telling my story about my service, I would title it, Everything I Needed to Succeed in the Military Came from Packing My Bags with Good Home Training. All right. So I stand before you this morning, the daughter of Bill and Barbara Goodwine, the granddaughter of maternal grandparents Herman and Ellen Bradley, and paternal grandparents Viola and Joby Goodwine. All of them now gone to glory, but still very much alive in me. And for me, it's important to honor their memory, to state their names, because they are the ones that provided that good home training that was my foundation for my service in the military and in life. Now, I can still remember when an Air Force representative sat at our dining room table and talked to my parents about offering me an ROTC scholarship to be used in whatever university I was going to attend. Now I'm a first-generation college graduate, so that opportunity, that was a big deal. And I knew it was a big deal because remember I said we were in the dining room. We were not around the kitchen table sitting across from the stove. So I said, this is serious. This has got to be something serious right here. Well, as time went on, I accepted that scholarship and was ready to pack my bags for Syracuse University. Well, let me just tell you, the story almost ended before it got started. Found out at the age of 16, the Air Force couldn't legally extend that offer to me. So when we got that news that the scholarship was looking a little shaky, let me just tell you, my village, everybody started praying. Because we didn't have enough piggy banks to pay for not even one semester Syracuse. Not even one. But you know what? Those prayers were answered. Syracuse agreed to not build the Air Force for my first semester until my 17th birthday, which was that December. I'd eaten all the food in the dining hall. I'd slept in my room. I'd taken all the classes. And not one bill came to us, which was good because it would have been returned to sender. But I digress. But they didn't have to do that.
All right. Amen.
That's a shout right there.
Yes.
So even though I was the first to graduate from a university, my grandparents, Nan and Papa, well, they were graduates too. But they got their degrees, maybe from a school you all know something about, the School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
Herman and Ellen Bradley were married in 1929, the year the Great Depression started, and were married for almost 70 years. I learned that things won't always be easy. I learned how to overcome and not be overwhelmed. I learned that the prayers for the hedge of protection, they would keep me and did keep me from hurt, harm, and danger. Now, the only time Nana walked on a college campus was when she first came to see me graduate, and then later my sister. But she was one of the wisest women I ever knew and raised a godly and wise woman, my mother. Now, Nana appreciated the value of education, even though hers stopped at the 8th grade. But she was wise enough to do this. She taught our family that all the books in the world are worthless if you don't start with what's in the good book. The Bible. She also reminded us, don't become an educated fool. Don't bring all that foolishness back here. Let's keep it real. Keep it real. How many degrees you have? And that was important too. You know, I was blessed that my parents were my #1 fans, unconditionally. They believed in me and they poured into me confidence, kindness, courage. Train up a child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they will. Confidence first instilled in me by my parents would carry me when I was a squadron commander in U.S. Forces Japan Comptroller at Yokota Air Base, the financial advisor responsible for managing a budget of over $100 million. As part of my responsibility, I would brief the 3-star general, who was a senior representative in Japan, and I would look around at this table, this big, beautiful wooden table, 30, 40 people around the table, and all the folks in the back taking notes, looking around at that table, and not one person looked like me. But I'll tell you what, all eyes were on me. But because of my home training and preparation, because you got to do your homework, I had the confidence to know, well, I have a seat at this table, and I am going to use my voice to tell it like it is. With respect, I didn't mention it was a 3-star general, right? But I still had to tell it like it is. So flashback, that confidence and courage carried me when I received my orders as a second lieutenant to go to a remote tour in Kunsan Air Base, Korea, thousands of miles across the globe. Now you have to know, my greatest fear at 22, it wasn't going into a gas chamber, it wasn't going to a survival training exercise. No, for me, it was going overseas, leaving these United States. Now this was in the dark ages, before cell phones, before email, before Amazon Prime. Now anyone who knows me know how I love to travel now, and wouldn't believe that was my greatest fear. Thomas and I just returned about 2 weeks ago from Dubai, and already thinking, okay, what country can we check off our list next? But then, that was a whole nother story. My plan was to serve 4 years, repay my ROTC scholarship commitment, salute smartly, and exit stage right. But I'm so grateful, not my plans. Because that assignment to Korea, moving me outside of my comfort zone, moving me overseas, thousands of miles for friends and family, that changed the course of my life. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope." And that's exactly what I got. It was at Kunsan as a lieutenant where I made not a good friend, but we would call each other bestest friends. From that day in July of 1983, when we met in our barracks, until she went on to glory in 2011, almost 29 years, Bobby Ann McKnight. She was my sister, my prayer warrior, my matron of honor, my ride into the wheels fell off kind of friend. And so me and my pink and green and my all-time favorite Delta and her red and white, oh, what a time we had for that 29 years. But today, I'm so glad to be able to share this time with someone that she also loves so much, her daughter-in-law, Catherine. Catherine, where are you? Raise your hand. Catherine thought it not robbery to be here today, the same day that Catherine is celebrating her birthday. She and her husband are doing a split team ops. And Bobby's son is with their son at a game, and Catherine and her daughter Kyra are here with us. So. I was also there in 2011 when they celebrated on this date their wedding. So happy anniversary as well. Air Base 3 in 1983, I was the first black female officer the local nationals in my branch had ever laid their eyes on. It was at the end of that one-year remote tour that it was made plain to me. At my going away party, Mr. Kim, could have been Mr. So, if anyone had been in Korea, but this was a Mr. Kim, but it wasn't Mr. Kim. But what Mr. Kim said that I was neither too hard nor too soft, but I was just right. And at first I said, is he saying I'm Goldilocks? But as I thought about it, I think what he was saying is, I use my good home training to be confident enough to just be me. Right. I didn't have to stand in anyone else's pumps or combat boots. And I'm thankful for that, because that was the same way I marched out for the entire career that I had. Now fast forward, when I received my first assignment to the Pentagon, I was excited. I was in Instrument Turkey at the time as a commander then as well, and going to Washington, D.C. Now I don't know about you. Have you ever had people who see your excitement and rain on your parade?
Yeah.
Well, you know there's some haters, right? They say, oh, you're not gonna like it at the Pentagon. The people are very unfriendly, if not downright mean. They said your co-workers will be backstabbers. It's gonna be hard to make friends. And that's if they even notice you at all. Yeah. But what those haters didn't know, the home training that I packed in my bag, now it wasn't a Telfar, it wasn't a Brahmin, I see what you're working with, it wasn't Louis Vuitton, but it still held what I needed. If you want to have a friend, be a friend. Be a friend. Extend yourself in a real and authentic way. Treat all people with respect. One of my colleagues then, Senior Master Sergeant Mike DiVittorio, who I first met in 1994, he's still a good friend to this day. And every year, he and his family travel to Florida. The first thing we do is connect. So he and so many others, instead of being backstabbers, they always had my back. And they are still a part of my village. Thankful, blessed, and grateful. Now I do have to admit though, there was one thing I didn't pack for my first day at the Pentagon. The right footwear. You don't know. I like stilettos then and now. But let me tell you, there's a reason at the Pentagon you're called an action officer. It's like you're in an action movie. I'm telling you, you're staff in action and moving with equipment. You're going from ring A to ring E with a general stick. You're going from corridor 1 to corridor 10 to get the general's review. You know the drill. And these were things that you were trying to get done on decisions that impacted the real lives of servicemen and women. I was working in compensation my first store. And so whether it was about COLA or VHA or pay, these were important things. And it's not something that you wanted to just wait till I'll get to it tomorrow. So it's moving with the quickness. Well, let me tell you, by the end of my first day, I am sure that I had walked all 17 miles of the Pelican. But you can trust and believe, after that day, I then retired those pumps and then didn't pack those for my journey forever. Now, my second tour to the Pentagon, I returned many years later, which brought me back to DC in Northern Virginia with sensible shoes and a chance to reconnect with my friends. One who is here today. Jacqueline Arnold, raise your hand, please. Jacqueline now lives in Georgia, but she and I had the opportunity to usher many a Sunday at Antioch Baptist Church. And of course, it brought me back to my home church, Antioch Baptist Church, a place I think Pastor Allen knows a little bit about. As a matter of fact, that's when I first heard Pastor Harris, when he was about maybe 18 or so, give one of his first of many dynamic sermons. He also had a chance at Antioch to serve in various ministries with his mother, Doris, and his aunt. So I can tell you, not what I heard, but what I saw. Pastor Allen, he's also got good home training. That I got a vivid reminder that people will forget what you say, but they never forget how you make them feel. I've been gone for several years. I attended Air War College, and then a tour in Japan, as I said, as a squadron commander, and then back to the Pentagon. Well, now you know the Pentagon is like a city of its own. In addition to those 17 miles of offices and corridors, there are restaurants, there's shopping, there's even a post office. Because you need that, because once you get in the building, you never leave. Because you need to do everything while you're there. So one day, I head downstairs. I've been back a couple of weeks. So I head down to the downstairs to the post office. And so when I get to the head of the line, Miss Mary, who's on the other side of the counter, she said, "Hey, Lieutenant Colonel, good to see you. I was wondering when you were going to return." I said, "Miss Mary, was I mailing that many packages the last time I was here? Did you remember me?" She said, "Oh no." She said, "Baby, you were one of the only people that always came here with a smile. And you always asked me how was I doing, and you stood and listened." But for me, that was just part of good home training. When I was growing up, my grandmother was what was then referred to as a domestic, a housekeeper.
Right.
But that was her job. That's not who she was.
Right.
She was the nana that gave the best hugs, introduced me to pistachio nuts, and always tried to slip me an envelope with a $10 bill wrapped in foil. And this was after I was good and grown. When I was trying to get back to her, just in case you need a little something there. I said, "Thank you, Nana." But I clearly understood the value we have is not tied to what we do, but it's who we are and whose we are.
That's it.
Right.
You know, as a veteran, the need to serve and lead lives on long after we hang up our uniform and put our combat boots to the side. I know I'm still driven to seek meaningful and impactful ways to make a difference, because I know that our service is the rent that we pay here on earth. And I don't want my place to be foreclosed. As they said earlier, Sheila said, I now serve with so much pleasure as the board president for Dress for Success Tampa Bay, a true labor of love. My husband refers to it as my #passion project. Well, the organization just celebrated our silver anniversary, and some of you were there at our gala with 500 of our closest friends when we celebrated 25 years in the community, empowering women to reach their full potential. And I have to say, I'm joined by our Vice President, Judy Benziger, and an absolutely extraordinary Executive Assistant, Zenobia Can, because it takes a village. Well, many of you also know we experienced a devastating loss just 2 months ago when our beloved executive director, Katie McGill, passed away suddenly. I was blessed, though, to call Katie not an employee, but a friend. And it was a friendship based on our shared desire to obviously see our I just saw my son passing. To see our clients thrive, who was also on the board of directors for Dress for Success for many years. It takes a village. But Katie and I also shared good home training that taught us both to treat people with respect, not because of their job title or position or their bank account or lack thereof, but because of their real worth. And now I just ask for your prayers as we navigate this truly difficult season. But I know that we are on our way to higher ground. But I still ask for your prayers, please. Now, I know some veterans might have stood here today and told you some war stories. And I have some of those as well. Time spent in Thailand at Cobra Gold, or Team Spirit in Korea, or supporting the global war on terror. You know, a lot of times when we talk about military service, we talk about leadership training, we talk about sacrifice, being in harm's way, being away from family, serving in a distant country, long hours, and I remember all of those things. But I'm here to tell you, none of that holds a candle to the friendships, the camaraderie, the bonds that were built in spite of the hardships, as we still always made mission. And that's just my story. So as I prepare to take my seat, I encourage and challenge each of you to not grow weary of doing good in spite of the circumstances. Use your good home training to do what we do best, make mission. Keep serving, because there's still work to be done. God bless you, and God bless America.
We just want to, oh my gosh. We want to thank you. Thank you.
We want to thank you, Laurell, for speaking from your heart. I love that, reminding us about good home training. You know, we serve a God who put everything together, as he did today. So again, let's give another round of applause to our speaker. We would like you to enjoy it. We know you like nice, pretty things. So it's right here. Thank you again. On behalf of Beulah Baptist Institutional Church and our lead servant, Reverend Alan Harris. Thank you.